right, so get ready because today we're going to take a deep dive into how to become a self-made billionaire with Liz Elting. She built that billion-dollar translation empire, TransPerfect, and she laid it all out in her book, Dream Big and Win.
Oh, yeah, I read that one.
Yeah, so we're going to use her book for this deep dive and a couple of supporting articles as well. And this is going to be your cheat sheet to entrepreneurial success, especially if you were interested in, beating the odds.
Yeah.
And maybe making $1 billion yourself.
$1 billion, huh?
Yeah.
I'd settle for $1 million.
Huh. But you know what's so interesting about Liz is that her story starts out
Yeah.
like a lot of us, just working odd jobs to make ends meet and that post-college pressure to become financially independent, the whole 9 yards.
Totally. But we got to remember the context here. The early 90s were a totally different world, especially for women, in those male-dominated fields like finance.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Liz was dealing with a very real gender pay gap and very few women in leadership positions. Talk about an uphill battle.
Yeah, for sure. And that honestly makes her success even more impressive. So we have this driven young woman entering this really tough industry. But here's the thing. She had this deep passion for languages.
Yeah.
And it was actually sparked by her childhood move to Portugal.
Interesting.
I know, right? So picture this. Little Liz trying to order bread at the local bakery with her very limited Portuguese.
Oh.
I know, right? It's not exactly like boardroom negotiations, but it really shows her early hustle and adaptability.
It definitely does. And it's more than just a cute story. Elting's early bilingualism probably gave her some cognitive advantages.
Really?
Yeah. There are actually studies that show that learning multiple languages can enhance problem-solving skills and even delay cognitive decline.
Wow. So ordering bread can be beneficial.
Maybe.
Huh. So Liz lands this well-paying finance job, the kind that most people would kill for.
Yeah.
But she quickly realized that it just wasn't fulfilling her. She felt stifled, her ideas were being ignored.
I've been there.
Yeah, right. And her colleagues seemed more interested in quoting Wayne's World than actual business strategies. Yeah. So there was this moment where she's trying to take initiative, walks into her boss's office, legal pad, ready to go, ready to learn the ropes. And her boss basically shuts her down.
Oh, man.
Talk about demoralizing.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many great ideas get squashed in these types of environments.
Right. Toxic work environments can really stifle innovation. If people don't feel comfortable sharing their ideas or if they feel like their contributions aren't valued, it just leads to stagnation.
Totally. And Liz was not one to stay stuck. So she took this leap of faith, quit her job, and decided to launch TransPerfect, her translation services company. And I love this image of her walking up Park Avenue, this renewed sense of purpose, a plan starting to form in her mind.
Oh.
It's a good reminder that sometimes walking away from something that isn't working can be the most empowering move.
For sure. It's interesting, to compare her story to other big entrepreneurs, like Fred Smith from FedEx or Jeff Bezos, from Amazon.
Right.
They all took huge risks. They faced so much skepticism. They dealt with tons of financial uncertainty.
Yeah.
It just reminds us that even the most successful businesses often start from just audacity and a bit of crazy faith.
Yeah, a bit of crazy faith for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about hustle. Liz and her business partner, they were working out of a dorm room, surviving on ramen noodles.
Classic.
Right, just fueled by pure determination.
Yeah.
And their office decor, a single stuffed animal.
Really?
I know, it's almost comical.
Yeah.
But it also shows their unwavering commitment.
Yeah, it does. And we got to remember, starting a business is so risky. The failure rate for small businesses is super high, often because of cash flow problems.
No, for sure.
So the fact that Liz not only survived, but thrived, speaks volumes about her resourcefulness. It wasn't just about working hard, it was about working smart.
Absolutely. So how did they get their big break? Well, Liz, meticulously crafted these personalized packages and sent them out to every single contact on her old spreadsheets, no fancy marketing campaign, just pure hustle and attention to detail.
Wow.
That's a good lesson for all of us. Sometimes the simplest actions can yield the biggest results.
Absolutely. That's a key takeaway here. Persistence, a focus on quality, and maximizing every opportunity. Those are the ingredients of success. You don't always need a complex strategy. Sometimes it's just about doing the basics really well.
Totally. And as TransPerfect started to grow, they take a very strategic, and I would even say frugal approach.
Oh, yeah.
They avoided taking any outside investment. They opted to grow organically and manage their finances really carefully. There's this funny story about Liz. refusing to buy fresh flowers for the office and opting for silk ones instead.
Uh-huh.
What? To save money. Yeah, to save money. That seems extreme.
Well, it's a classic example of bootstrapping. They were laser focused on financial sustainability. And this contrasted sharply with companies like Borders, who
Ew.
failed to adapt to changing trends and ultimately went bankrupt.
Right.
It's a good reminder that staying lean and adaptable can be so key to long-term success.
Absolutely. And Liz's focus wasn't just on profits. She really recognized the power of building a strong company culture and empowering her employees. She knew firsthand the challenges of balancing motherhood and a demanding career. So she actually created a women's group within TransPerfect to support and retain female employees.
That's great. There's so much data showing that employee engagement and diversity in leadership have a huge impact on a company's performance.
Oh, for sure.
Liz clearly understood that a company's greatest asset is its people. It's really about creating that environment where everyone feels valued,
That's supported.
and empowered to do their best work. That's how you build a winning team.
Totally. But, let's be real. No business journey is without its bumps. And TransPerfect faced some major hurdles, like the impact of 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine the stress and uncertainty of that
I can't even imagine.
on the business and the team?
Wow. That's a real testament to their resilience. They could have easily crumbled under that pressure, but they adapted and they found a way to move forward. It's kind of like Lego.
Oh, yeah.
They totally reinvented themselves in the early 2000s to stay relevant.
Right.
So sometimes a crisis can force you to innovate and come out even stronger.
Yeah, for sure. And, speaking of challenges, Liz also faced issues with her business partner, which unfortunately led to a very public legal battle.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good reminder that even the most successful businesses can be vulnerable to internal conflicts. Business partnerships have a pretty high failure rate, often because of a lack of clear agreements from the start. Yeah, it's like a cautionary tale about really anticipating potential problems and having a solid legal framework for your business from day one.
Absolutely. It makes you realize that success isn't a straight line. It's more like a winding path with twists and turns. But what's impressive is that through it all, Liz never lost sight of her goals. She's a huge believer in setting clear goals and using them as a roadmap.
Right. It's not enough to just dream big, Yeah. You need a plan to actually make it happen.
Cool.
And that's where SMART goals come in,
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely.
Yes.
It's a classic strategy for a reason, because it works.
It does. And Liz didn't just set goals for herself. She created this culture of ownership at TransPerfect.
Yeah.
She wanted her employees to treat the company as if it were their own. And that gave them the power to make decisions and really contribute to the growth. That's cool. And it's fascinating how that's linked to company performance. Studies actually show that when employees feel a sense of ownership, they're more productive, more innovative, and more loyal. And that translates to higher profits.
Yeah.
Liz clearly understood that.
Absolutely. She was also obsessed with customer service. It wasn't just about closing deals. It was about building relationships and exceeding expectations. She instilled this yes mentality in her team, always finding a way to meet client needs.
I like that. That's the customer-centric approach, That separates good companies from great ones. It's about building trust and loyalty, not just making a quick sale.
Exactly. And to stay ahead of the curve, Liz was all about trend spotting. She was constantly analyzing industry shifts, anticipating client needs, and adapting her business strategies.
Smart. That kind of proactive approach is so crucial, especially in today's fast-paced world. Think about companies like Blockbuster. That totally missed the streaming revolution.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a really costly mistake.
For sure.
So Liz's ability to anticipate and adapt is a big reason why TransPerfect was so successful.
Totally. And speaking of money, Liz was incredibly careful with spending, especially in the early days. They bootstrapped their growth.
Yeah.
And opted for a super Spartan existence for years. I remember reading about her literally picking pennies out of the trash.
What?
I know.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's wild.
It's like a quirky detail. But it shows a lot about her mindset, financial discipline, prioritizing profit over vanity, and making every dollar count.
Right. That's the mindset that allows startups to survive those tough early years.
Absolutely. And even as TransPerfect grew into this global company, Liz stayed frugal, almost to a point of being comical. Remember that story about her choosing silk flowers over fresh ones?
Oh, yeah.
To save money?
It's a funny story, but it shows a deeper truth. She understood that true success isn't about lavish spending. It's about building a sustainable business for the long term, totally. And building a successful business also comes down to having a great team. And Liz had a real knack for spotting and nurturing talent. She looked for people who were passionate,
Mm.
motivated, and had a strong work ethic.
For sure. Hiring the right people is so important. It's probably the most important decision a leader makes. It's about finding individuals who align with the company's values and have the potential to grow.
Absolutely. And she wasn't afraid to give tough feedback. She believed that everyone could improve, even top performers.
I see. So it was about balancing support with constructive criticism
Yeah.
to help people develop their skills
Sure.
and reach their full potential.
Right. But Liz wasn't just a demanding boss. She genuinely cared about her employees and wanted to create a positive work environment.
I like that. That's like the sweet spot,
Yeah.
high standards, but also genuine care for your team.
Yeah.
That's how you get the best out of people.
For sure. And Liz was also a vocal advocate for diversity and inclusion. She understood that different perspectives and experiences just make for a stronger and more innovative team.
Absolutely. And, it's not just about doing the right thing. It's also good for business. Diversity leads to better decision-making, increased creativity, and a more inclusive environment.
Totally. Now, she also had this very specific approach to managing her sales team. Instead of pushing for the hard sell, she really emphasized building relationships and understanding client needs. It was about becoming a trusted advisor, not just a salesperson.
Interesting. That's what's known as consultative selling. It's a more sustainable approach that focuses on long-term customer loyalty, not just short-term gains.
Right. And Liz's attention to detail was legendary. She implemented things like end-of-day reports to track progress and hold everyone accountable.
Wow.
It sounds intense, but
Well, it's about using data to make informed decisions. You can't improve what you don't measure. Data-driven decision-making is so important for successful businesses.
absolutely. And communication was another one of her strengths. She encouraged open dialogue and feedback, both within her team and with clients.
Oh, yeah. That's so important for building trust.
Yeah.
And creating a collaborative environment. When people feel heard and valued,
Yeah.
they're much more engaged and productive.
Yeah. Liz was also a huge advocate for lifelong learning. She was always reading, attending conferences, and seeking out new knowledge.
Nice. Yeah, that's a hallmark of successful leaders, that constant desire to learn and grow, staying curious,
Yeah,
challenging assumptions, adapting to a changing world.
totally. But Liz's story isn't just about business success. She also openly talks about the challenges of balancing motherhood with her demanding career. And she was a pioneer in creating a supportive environment for working mothers at TransPerfect.
That's great. It's such a critical issue,
Yeah.
that so many women face. And Liz's efforts help pave the way for more family-friendly policies in the workplace.
Absolutely. But even with all her accomplishments, Liz remained grounded and focused on giving back. So she transitioned into philanthropy, establishing the Liz Elting Foundation
Oh.
to empower women and marginalized communities.
Wow. That's awesome. It's a great example of how business success can be a catalyst for social change. Liz is using her resources to address systemic inequalities and create a more equitable world.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that we all have the power to make a difference.
It's really inspiring
Mm.
to see someone using their success like that
Mhm.
to create positive change. And another thing that really stood out to me about Liz was her focus on clear and honest communication, both within her team and with clients. She wasn't afraid to address tough issues head on. She believed that transparency built trust.
Yeah, totally. Think about companies like Johnson & Johnson. They successfully navigated that whole Tylenol crisis back in the 80s.
Okay.
And their willingness to take responsibility and communicate openly turned a potential disaster into a way to strengthen their brand. It's like crisis management 101.
It is. It reminds us that honesty and transparency, even when it's hard, is always the best way to go. And, let's not forget, Liz's commitment to building that strong and supportive company culture. She knew that happy and engaged employees are more productive. And that leads to a more successful business.
Right. And it's not just like a feel-good idea. It's backed by research. Companies like Google, with all their amazing benefits, and focus on innovation are proof that investing in your people really pays off.
Makes you wonder why more companies don't prioritize employee well-being. Liz's journey is honestly full of inspiring moments.
Yeah.
And practical advice. But I think what's most remarkable is her ability to bounce back from setbacks, learn from her mistakes, and just keep pushing forward. She even had that major challenge with her business partnership, which led to, that very difficult legal battle. And ultimately, the sale of her share of TransPerfect.
Yeah. It just goes to show you that even the most successful partnerships can face these unexpected obstacles. It really highlights the importance of having those clear legal agreements from the very beginning. It's not always fun to think about. But having that solid legal foundation can really help navigate choppy waters.
Yeah, you got to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Rightly.
But even after leaving TransPerfect, Liz didn't slow down. Like, she channeled her entrepreneurial energy into philanthropy, establishing the Liz Elting Foundation to empower women and marginalized communities.
That's amazing. It's such a great example of how business success can be used for social good. Liz is using her resources to make a real difference and create a more equitable world.
Totally. So after diving deep into Liz Elting's story, I'm left with this question for you. What's your big dream, and what can you do today to start turning that dream into a reality?
You know, Liz's journey shows us that success isn't about luck. It's about passion, perseverance, and a willingness to take risks. It's about building a fantastic team, embracing challenges, and never giving up on your vision.
Absolutely. If you're looking for more inspiration and some practical advice, definitely check out Liz's book, Dream Big and Win. It's packed with insights, and it's a testament to the power of human potential. And remember, no matter where you are on your journey, you have the power to create something amazing. Dream big, work hard, and never stop learning. That's it for our deep dive into the incredible story of Liz Elting. We'll see you on the next one.